So welcome back to the channel, guys. Again, we're playing Black Powder Glory Hallejuah. This week we're doing the assault on Fort Wright. So this one's going to be quite interesting. I painted up a bit of scenery for the fortress itself. So I'm quite looking forward to doing a siege. I don't have any boats, so we're just using cardboard cutouts for those, so please forgive that. But it should work pretty well either way. So regarding the forces, just for the speed of play that we try to go for, we've basically reduced down the number of regiments by about 50%, but that way each side still has the same approximate numbers as it should do. The Union has an advantage in numbers, including the 2 gunboats, but equally the Confederates are defending, so it should be quite an interesting one overall. So the battlefield, although it doesn't really look like it from here, the fort is on a hill, bottom left is a hill, and the top of the map is a hill. You can see the little gunboats in the right corner, they're just going to move up the river. So I was playing as the Union, and my plan was to try and soften him up with artillery to start with, and then do a big outflanking manoeuvre to the left, whilst he was just going to sit there, try and weather the storm, and blast me as I came close. But this was going to turn into a much harder game than either of us had anticipated, and a lot bloodier. So for me, having to advance across open ground was always going to be tricky. Is your objective or your goal in this game? What are your plans?
Well, my objective is obviously to hold the fort. Yeah.
Yep.
But I also want to decimate your infantry as much as I possibly can, so they become an ineffective force.
Not very nice.
Damn nasty.
And my goal is going to be to try and flank the fort, whilst pinning this side with the boats and the artillery. So in our first turn, he moved some of his troops a little bit forwards on the hill, and I started moving my troops up on the left flank. On the right, I really had a couple of regiments there, or brigades I should say, but they were more at this stage just to try and soak up. The one in the front was soaking up fire to try and protect my artillery and the unit behind. And also to try and draw his fire from blasting these troops that were going to be my main assault force. Having the preponderance of artillery did give me an advantage, but firing against his fortifications really reduced down the effectiveness drastically, so I kept blasting away and didn't make too much progress. So for most of the game it was a lot of manoeuvring from me, whilst his troops just kind of jockeyed around a little bit here and there. It was a game though where I had to keep watching the clock, because I think we only had 12 turns for the whole game, so I couldn't just sit back and do what I would naturally want to do, which is just keep firing with the artillery. I had to actually start to move, otherwise I wasn't going to have the time to be able to try and capture the fortress. So he had time in his favour. At this stage, that one unit which I had in the centre of the field on the right, they were reduced to a below half strength for just continuous pounding, but they kept passing their morale checks. So he just concentrated his fire on them to try and obliterate them, but they were just soaking it all up and they just kept going, so they, I think, saved my army for a big part of it. Now he starts to deploy his troops into line of battle, because as mine were approaching, the fight was about to get on. So my troops had made it across the hedge, and they're now on the road heading up to the backside of the fortress. But just successive turns of artillery pounding away on both sides, but especially mine, was just causing horrific casualties. Really, really bad casualties. And I knew that once I'd finished crossing all of that open ground, getting blasted by his cannons, I was then going to get hit by volleys from his formed infantry. So no matter what I did, it was going to be very, very bloody. However, at this stage I had knocked out one of his guns, so I was quite happy with that. And I was kind of split. Do I concentrate all my fire on his infantry to destroy them, or do I concentrate my fire on his artillery, because they're the ones that hurt my troops as they're crossing the open ground? So I stuck with the guns. So this was the first turn where musket fire was exchanged, and the casualties started to grow even faster. So with our rules, because he was defending, the fences are working as battlements that he could place when he wanted to, after I'd deployed my troops, just so that I wouldn't be able to have everything nice and easy. So at this stage, one of my regiments decided that they're taking too much artillery fire on the way in, and they broke and started hightailing it from the field. And my man of the match unit on the right hand side was killed to a man, so my second unit, who had luckily not taken such damage, were now at the walls trying to scale. And on the left, I closed with him. I killed a few of his units, but again, my units have been decimated, and although we killed him, in the process one more blast of cannon fire and my entire force basically routed. So in the end, he did win, because he held the fort at the end of the game, although only just. A very close, very hard battle, which I'm really going to enjoy trying again, but as the defender, and see if we can get any alternative outcomes. Anyway, thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.